would probably be late, actually. There's
Okay.
stuff for traffic.
Okay. I saw the little one in the store the other day. She's cute.
Oh. You have a flow tack. They grow way too fast.
They do. They do.
So they're bringing Noah home now, he's 26, maybe.
I have a 37-year-old who's finally grown up. At least we think so. We're hoping for that.
One would hope, right? That's how it works.
Well, we have
That's what we
a
can hope for.
35 in Hopen, so I don't know.
I shouldn't say that. He does okay. He's just a unique individual. You know?
That's what they are.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he has a job, goes to work every day, owns a house, you know, is somewhat responsible, but other than that, oh,
We'll get started, so we'll stand for the...
Oh, we're waiting for Larry? You said
No, we
Larry?
can get started. He said it'll be late. We can start without him.
But he's a third of this thing. Why don't we just wait for him? I mean, he's only stuck in traffic, right? Do
Yeah, but I don't know how long it'll be.
you want to call him real quick and ask? I mean,
What's that? I would think
he called you, obviously, and said he's going to be a little late, right? How late did he say he was going to be?
He said he was stuck, so he didn't give me an exact. So, well, we're supposed to schedule 5, so we get started. We can start with
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First, the two policies that we have to go over are actually changes required by PDE and the state as well. The first one is policy 806, which is our child abuse policy. If you go through, you'll see our current policy that we have is much shorter than the one that they're recommending because the law has since changed for reporting of child abuse. For example, with mandated reporting in other areas that we're required to, and also what the definition of child abuse has changed as well. So this policy is from PD and PSBA, and this meets all the requirements by the new law. And for example, if you look under just the definitions, for example, with child abuse compared to the old one, you can see the new policy under definitions under child abuse has added a lot more because and become more in depth with what is considered child abuse.
Did you say this was written by PDE or PSBA?
PDE, the laws requires that PSBA is the one that looks at it and recommends.
PSBA wrote it.
Actually PDE wrote it, PSBA goes through and reviews it, and then this is what PSBA.
Well, no. PDE writes is the law side.
Correct.
And then
PSBA puts it in policy.
PSBA interprets that law and makes us a template
Puts
policy.
it in policy, yes.
Okay, but this is one of their templates that we bought part of our
Part of the package.
package.
Yeah. So this is exactly what they're recommending. So with this with the change in the law, you can see it's become much more in depth, and they've also added requirements for training with the new policy that we're required to be trained every year. And every year, the start of school, one of the first in-service presentations we have is about mandated reporting. Attorney Schwab goes over everything with mandated reporting. We also include proper use of social media by employees and those areas. So we meet that requirement by the mandated training on child abuse and what is required for reporting, what is a mandated reporter. And one of the things we always express is always err in caution. If you have a concern, make sure you report it to the child line, and so it's on record. And then really, they are the ones that make the decision whether it is considered child abuse and whether it needs to create an open case on the situation or what have you. And we don't know, once we report it, we get a confirmation that we reported it, but the outcome is not released to us.
So after we bought this from PSBA, did Schwab look at it?
No, sure, it's not.
Have we had any violations of this policy since, say, Fisher or before?
I don't have any information. Any questions regarding? Again, it's just puts us in compliance with the law. And we have different sections, but this falls under our staff, so for reporting child abuse. Because some policies have a students section, a professional staff section, then a general staff section and administrative section. Everything for us is all falls under employees. All falls under the employee guideline. The next policy I'll let Tim discuss. That's the Title I policy for parent involvement. I know
So are we recommending this one? What do I put down for?
any other questions for
Is this one gonna go to the 17th,
This will
17th,
go to the
14th, or?
unless there's any other questions for. The
So
next.
wait, do you want to make that recommendation? That you adopt this? I'll make the recommendation that we adopt the PSBA template that we purchased under our PSBA, what's it called? Complete package?
No, there's no.
All access.
All access package
So
To
adopting
the board
PSBA
for the board's approval.
806.
The Title I parent involvement, that has changed now with us, with the consolidation of the schools as well. So I'll turn it over to Tim. He deals with the Title I, the parent involvement, and the process that we follow for Title I.
Tim, before you get started, on Title I, is the Lehighton, the entire Lehighton school district meet the requirements that we are a Title I school, or just we have students that are Title I?
Just the elementary. Right now, that's what we're going for. In other words, we have we're in the process right now, the school-wide Title I program has been submitted.
That means, and Title I means that, what percentage of kids have to be,
By us doing school-wide, all kids are eligible for it.
I mean before that, what's the number of low-income families to get Title I status, or is it not worth it?
Title I is not based upon low income. Like your allocation, your services aren't based on that. Your dollar amounts are based on that, but the services are for any kid, any child.
All right, so Title I means what then? Help me.
Title I means that you can give extended services for math, reading, and now they've also opened up to science because it's the 3 tested areas by the state.
And you say can give, meaning we can buy them from teachers and provide them for our students?
Right, in other words, what we're doing is we're getting these services as we're going through. For example, this year, Title I, there's Title I, Title
Nine.
Title 2D, Title 2A, Title 1D, Title 4, and there's all different titles. But we get, and Title 3, which is a consortium, which is the ESL kids, English Second Language. Title I, we got approximately, I think it was 570,
Yeah, it was on the last
577.
board meeting, we approved.
Title 1D, which goes directly out to Concern, out in Mahoney Valley. That's the delinquent services that we give, that was like 42.9 this year. Title 2A was 91,000, and then Title 4, which is for the whole good of the child, that went up to, I think, 35 or 36,000.
And this is, money comes from the state or federal?
Federal.
Federal through the state to us. So it's,
Federal gives it to the state, then they divvy it up between the districts to give to the
Yes.
individual districts, depending on their criteria.
right,
And a Title I child is different than a Title I school.
right. The
And
Title
that's a child that meets this financial requirement, or what's the requirement there? Just
No, the services, if they go through, there's like a whole screening process. The child study, you take a look, you'll go through, start off like we do the benchmarks, which will be starting next week, where we do that at the beginning of the year, middle, and then at the end. So next week and beyond that, we're gonna be testing every K through 8 student. It's a short test that goes through Star Renaissance, where we get a benchmark, which is a national norm test to see where do they stand compared to other kids their age level throughout the country. Then, based upon that, based upon grades, teacher recommendation, or parents, if they notice, they see things at home happening, they can then give that to like the group of teachers, and then there's a whole team study, which we now, it's used to be RTII, now it's
Right.
MTSS. They all sit down and go together, and then they monitor the kids on like a weekly and monthly basis. They take a look at the child and see, is there a Tier 1 intervention, Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4? Depending upon, Tier 1 is your basic instruction that all teachers are teaching the kids. If they're missing something, then they can go to a Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4, and as they move up, it becomes more intensive. So they get that in addition to, let's say, the regular math or the regular ELA. So it's supplemental instructions. Now what can happen...
You're basically saying it's tutoring.
Yeah,
Right.
okay, yeah.
For old school.
So what we're doing now too with this, before we were what was called targeting. We could only help those children that way identified. Now, we can go through and, for example,